Open the test analysis worksheet that you created in the last tutorial. First of all, this central section shows the students' actual responses on the test. If they chose A, that's what you see there. If they chose G, that's what you see. A correct answer is shown by the plus sign in front of the answer, and an incorrect answer has no plus sign and is also marked with red. Column B gives you all of the student names color-coded. To help you understand what those colors mean, use the scroll bar to scroll over to the middle of the worksheet. Then click on any of the students' names and a key will appear. Blue means that the student's score on this test would be commended on star. Green means that it would pass the 2017 star. Yellow means it would pass the 2015 star. Orange means it would pass the 2014 star, and red means it would fail the 2014 star. The percentages in the columns to the right are also colored according to the same scheme. There are three general sections to this test analysis worksheet. The area to the left of the black columns includes all of the questions and responses and information based on those questions and responses. The two black columns contain summary information about the test and information about the passing criteria for the test. And the sections to the right contain information based on how well students did on each TEKS tested on that test. When you generate the worksheet, it automatically sorts the students from highest to lowest using their overall score. You can sort them in different ways using the filter button on top of in column AS or AV on top of their scores. Click the button, choose from smallest to largest or largest to smallest, and the spreadsheet will resort accordingly. In this case, the lowest scores are now on the top. The color coding is based on the test score information at the top of the black columns, and all of the test score information as well as all of the TEKS information in these sections is based on having the correct grade and subject chosen in cell B2. If you change that subject in B2, then it changes the scores and changes all of the information in these sections. Change it back and all is well again. Let's scroll back to the beginning of the document to look at some of the other information on the worksheet. Row 1 contains the descriptions for all of the TEKS in the same column in row 8. So this one says 3.4C, and that's the TEK description that we see on row 1. Row 7 contains the objective reporting categories that STAR assigns to its subjects, and the colors in rows 1 and 7 are arbitrarily chosen to help distinguish those categories. If an objective category is not assigned, then those cells won't color code, but the TEK description will be there as long as there is still a TEKS in row 8. Row 6 gives you the question number from the test itself, and these numbers are out of order currently because the template sorted the questions in order from highest to lowest within objective reporting category. Row 3 gives you the percentage of students that got that question correct. So in the question in this column, 80% of the students got that question correct, as indicated by the choices with a plus in front of them. If a question has a process TEKS, that process TEKS is found in row 9. In row 4, you can indicate whether or not you taught that TEKS, and therefore expect the student to be able to answer the question correctly. If you scroll over to the black columns, you'll see a section where it tells you the average number correct out of the total number of questions on the test. If you change any of those yeses to nos in row 4, it will change the information in the taught column, but not in the total tested column. Change them back to yes, and the totals change accordingly. Again, all of the color coding depends on whether the student's percentages exceed the cutoffs found at the top of the black columns. Remember that row 3 tells you the percentage of students that got each question correct. In this case, 88% of the students got question number 34 correct. One of the main uses of this spreadsheet is to use the filter buttons found in each cell in row 9 to sort for the students who got that question incorrect. Click on the button, choose Sort by Color, and choose Red, and you have all of the students who got that question incorrect at the top. You could repeat this for every question as many times as you wish. You can use any filter button to sort the column that it is in. Click the button in cell B9 and select from A to Z in order to alphabetize your students again. Scroll to the right and use the filter button on the top of the students' grades. Choose from largest to smallest in order to sort their grades again. The advantage here is to see exactly which students I need to work with for any given question or objective. Earlier, when I had identified those 3 students, I could pull those in a small group. On this question in column H, I can see that 52% of the students got it correct. I could use the button, select for those students, and now that I know exactly who those students are, I can develop a strategy to work with them, whether it's reteaching the whole class or doing some sort of small group or cooperative instruction. If the students' grades are sorted from high to low before sorting a question, they will remain that way when the question is sorted. And this may affect my strategies. Perhaps these top students can master their mistake quickly and then help teach the students who also struggle more generally. The template changes the order of the columns by sorting the columns from highest to lowest score within objective reporting categories. We can resort these columns any way we wish by making sure we click on the column header for the first question, meaning the letter, and selecting all the way over to the last question, making sure that we have the entire column selected. Then, at the top of the window, make sure you are on the Data tab and click on the Sort button. If we want to sort these back into the order of the questions on the test, the questions are on row 6, so where it says Sort By, we would choose row 6, and then in the order, choose from smallest to largest to put them in numerical order. You can see that the questions are now in ascending order. If we wanted to sort all the questions from highest to lowest percentage, we could go back to the Sort button and choose row 3 and sort from largest to smallest and put them all in order and not only in order within objective reporting category. You can see the percentages are now from high to low, but the objective categories are mixed. If I hit undo a couple times, it'll be back from high to low within objective reporting category. You may feel a bit overwhelmed with the amount of information on the spreadsheet, and that's totally understandable. To help with that, we can hide any section that we'd wish. Click on the column header for the last question and drag over to the column header for the first question. Right-click anywhere on the selected area and choose Hide, and that information will get hidden, and now we can only see the TEKS portion if that's the only part we wish to see. If we want to go back and be able to see the question portion again, click on both column headers on either side of that hidden area, right-click on the selected area, and choose Unhide. Now we can see all of those questions again. I'll quickly rehide this test question area so that we can focus on the TEKS percentage area. This section has student percentages by TEKS. For example, this first one is TEKS 3.4a. There was one question that addressed that TEKS, and 88% of the students answered that question correctly. And down below you can see the percentage that each individual student earned on each particular TEKS. On the next question over, 4 questions addressed TEKS 3.4b, and 65% of those questions were answered correctly. The color coding in this area corresponds with the same rules of the color coding in the students' names and the students' overall test score. To remind yourself of those rules, you can click on any student's name. You can also use the filter buttons just the same as before to sort any of these TEKS columns by highest to lowest or lowest to highest. Here you see the column for 3.4b is now sorted, and the students who missed all questions or 3 or 2 questions are on top. To show you the next feature, I'll unhide the individual question columns by selecting both columns around the hidden area, right-clicking on the selected area, and selecting Unhide. In the blank cells in row 2, I can label any question any way I wish. For example, perhaps I think question 6 is a silly question, poorly worded, whatever I may think. Perhaps I think question 20 had some vocabulary issues that I want to focus on. And perhaps I think the next question is both silly and has some vocabulary issues that I want to focus on. In this case, I would make sure I put both words separated somehow by a comma or however I'd like to do it. And maybe I simply want to indicate that I thought the next question was extremely hard. To make these labels useful to me, I'd scroll to the end of the section to the right where I have 5 extra columns that have no labels in them. If I need more, I could copy and paste them and create more. In the TEACS block in row 8, on the first column, I would type in the label silly, and that'll then give me the result that 2 questions have been marked silly, and it gives me the student performance on those questions. Just in the same way, in the next one, I could type in vocabulary and get the student's performance on those questions. For the question that I marked both silly and vocabulary, as long as I put it in the same way that I entered it before, I'll get the student's performance on that question. And I could do the same thing for hard or for any other label that I've created. There is also a blank column on the first column of the document, and I can use this column to label students however I may want to wish. Maybe I want to break the students into sections or groups. I could put those labels A, B, C, whatever they might be, next to the student's name, and then use that filter button to click and sort and choose any of the groups or sort from A to Z. And if I scroll back to the right, I could use the filter buttons in the black columns to sort them by grade or however else I may wish. This covers most of the ways that you can use this spreadsheet to analyze your test data. The most important way being to use the filter buttons to sort for and identify students who didn't master particular concepts and to reteach those students accordingly, or in other words, to clear up your teaching and your students' understanding.